Guys, we're back with another video here. I know we've been a bit quiet recently, but things have been quiet realistically on Twitter and such, and it just seems like all waiting to Vegas. And then I seen on Twitter this morning, I think it was Jess tweeted out saying, holy shit, Vegas is in like a week. And it really has crept up on us. I mean, I don't feel like 2 seconds ago I just got the game day early, managed to smash it out, was learning the game, and now suddenly the first event is upon us. And there's so much to play for in this first event. It's so important, and that is why we're going to be talking about the title. As you can see, the play-ins that happen on the Thursday before CWL Vegas. Hopefully I'll be there, and I would like to think it will be casted by somebody. It might be, I don't know. I might know, I don't know. But realistically, these are super important games because it guarantees your qualification for pools, and because it guarantees your qualification for pools, it guarantees your qualification for the qualifier for Pro League. Don't absolutely quote me on that. I'm pretty sure it does though, because I think if you're in pools, it automatically qualifies that you get top 36 because of where you go into the championship bracket and that sort of thing, irrelevant of where you finish. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's talk about the teams. Now, let's just have a run through them first. So you got Impact, Team 3G, they're going up against each other first. You've also got Tainted Minds, Gan Gaming. Then you have Imperial, UYU, who are going up against each other as well, and Mindfreak and Team Space, who are going up against each other. That's going to be a very interesting one. We're going to talk on each of these matchups, who I think is going to win each of these matchups, and then we'll talk about who I think will actually qualify for pools, thus qualifying for the Pro League qualifier in January. Let's jump into the first game. Okay, so I've got it on my phone again, so it's not all shiny on the screen, but Impact against Imperial. Now, the Impact lineup is Panda, GodRx, Theory, Lacefield, and Parasite, a very well-storied team. Team 3G is Nile, Kreza, Delio, Bids, and Nevo. Now, I'm not 100% sure it's still Nevo. I've heard that might potentially be have changed, but this was the official roster that I got from somebody official. So I would say Impact are absolutely favourites in this game, although Team 3G are a very, very solid EU squad. I just don't know if they've got the quality to surpass a team like Impact, who have looked pretty good online, a couple of okay results. They are the #1 seed for a reason. They've got a lot of pro points from last year, a solid team. I don't think there's too much to discuss on this one, but I would imagine it'll be something like 3-1. It wouldn't surprise me if Team 3G maybe take an S&D or a Control. But I think I look at these two teams and you look at the lineups and you just would imagine that Impact will walk away with that one. So I'd expect Impact to advance on to the next round. Then they will play the winner of Tainted Minds against Gan Gaming. Now, this is Seed 4 and Seed 5 against each other, so a little bit of a closer one. But realistically, we know that the quality of Tainted Minds is there. We've seen them get themselves into Pro League Season 2 last year. But will it carry over? We're now into 5v5. It's a completely different game. However, you look at Gan Gaming, Benji, Dareal, Xerox, Mols, and Ninjura, and Tainted Minds roster is Swifty, Damage, Nimble, Setsi, and Swift Azor. Speaking of Gan Gaming, there's a couple of guys who did okay at champs. I think it was with Brash, guys like Dareal, etc. But I just my worry for these guys is that it's an intercontinental, well, it's not an intercontinental, an EU mixed squad. So there's different nationalities in there, mainly 2 French guys, which seems to be, and Benji is what, actually no, Benji's not different, he's English. But Xerox and Mols in there, both French. And we've typically seen squads who mix up the languages a little bit to struggle. And I think that could be their downfall. I think Tainted Minds will just about take this one 3-2, but I think it'll be a very close game either way. Let's go into the next one. I'm just going to make this text a little bit bigger because I'm blind as shit. Into the next game. So that is actually going to be... Have I gone past the wrong one? No, here we go. Imperial against UYU. You can tell I have prepared for this. It's just it just all seems to be going wrong at the same time. Anyway, Imperial is Reedy, Moose, Vortex, Denza, and Hawkey, and UYU is Spoofs, Mayhem, Nova, Proto, and Skies. Now, Imperial for me are easily the best EU team in this bracket. And I expect them to get into pools. I really do. I think, yes, okay, there's 3/4 of that Epsilon squad who didn't do very well last year, but I don't want to place any of that blame whatsoever on Reedy. He was placed into a position where that team was already not working, and that team just didn't work from the start. They didn't make a change because they couldn't. and then, you know, all of a sudden you're cruising through the air and getting beat by most people. But the thing is, they were in the Pro League. They were good enough to be in that Pro League, because we've seen them go up against multiple people who said they deserved to be in it, and Epsilon actually won. So I think realistically, you look at that roster and they very, very well could make Pro League, and I think they will eventually make pools. They're going to go up against a UIU, which is Spoofs, Mayhem, Nova, Proto, and Skies. Now, these guys overall didn't have a fantastic year last year, just a couple of okay placements, a couple of times where they made it into pools, but other than that, they haven't set the world on fire. So I expect this Imperial lineup, with the added experience of Moose and Denza coming in. Denza had a very good champs playing with Tommy and his squad, so that should be a very interesting team. I just hope they click. If they do, if we see the vortex that we've seen back in IW and Reedy's past performances, we've seen Hawkeye have a great game in IW as well. This one's a little bit more similar to IW than World War II was, so I expect this team to be better than they were last year in terms of the Epsilon scenario. And I expect them to win this one 3-1. It still should be a good game, but I do think they will prevail there. So now into the big game of the first round. Poor Mindfreak. Poor for Mindfreak. They're going up against Team Space, or Team NASA as they've called themselves. Mindfreak's roster, of course, is Buzzo, Shocks, Fighter, adding in Luca and Excite, as well as, of course, they lost Dens to Reciprocity. Now, Team Space is Havoc, Spacely, Major Maniac, Naga, and Morgs. Now, I do feel bad for Mindfreak, because this is undoubtedly probably on paper the scariest team in this play-in bracket, but let's base it online. You look at Team Space and they've been so solid. They, in every single notable online tournament they've entered, they've done very well and gone very far. I think, did they win the 2K once and then they came second to Optic maybe once or twice, or third or something like that? Either way, they've done very well for themselves online. Mindfreak didn't have the best start. They lost the first 2K to Tainted Minds, but from then they really have been cruising through it and looked very solid. Now, Team Space, you would expect to win this one. They have looked so good online. But last year, we did see a team with Spacely and Mox. I think it might have been Ghost was the first roster they were on. Should have checked that. But it's something like that. I'm pretty sure they were teaming together. And they had a very solid start at the beginning of that game online as well. They looked really good. That's why they qualified for pools. And you've seen teams like FaZe, etc. didn't qualify and had to fight through the open bracket. Now, they've done the same again. They've played very well online, looked one of the best teams online. Can they convert that into LAN wins as well? That is the big question around Team Spacely. Everyone is thinking so, because they've looked really good online, like really good, like one of the top 8 teams online in America, at least anyway. Would you expect them to beat Mindfreak? I think they might. I think they'll win it 3-2, but I think it'll be a very close game. Mindfreak have got the experience. They've been in Pro League. They've had decent results for years, but losing Dens is never going to be the best thing for them. He's one of the solid players, if not their best. You would argue maybe Shocks is as well. And then bringing in these 2 new guys, you just don't know how they're going to settle in. So a huge game, because I think both of these teams could very well qualify, but I think it's very difficult for Mindfreak in this one. I think Team Space will take it. So I'm not going to actually predict the further games, because I'm actually not sure which way the losers bracket lie, like who drops into where. I don't know if it crosses over or if it just goes across, or if the 2 teams cross over together. I'm not 100% sure, so I'm not going to predict it, but I am just going to say that I expect Impact to make it. I expect them to win their second game as well. I expect Team Spacely to make it. I think they will obviously, so Team Spacely will be, if they beat Mindfreak and Imperial beat UIU, Team Space against Imperial will be a very good game. That's another one that I expect to probably go down to the wire, because I actually do rate this Imperial squad, but I think Team Space might just take it. Now, from there's going to be 2 other people able to qualify. So in the playing bracket, you need to win 2 before you lose 2, essentially. So other than Team Space and other than Imperial, I do expect Mindfreak to make it through. And other than Impact and other than Team Space, I do expect Imperial and Mindfreak to make it through. Now, bearing in mind, I don't know how the losers bracket lies, so it could be a case of, I think realistically, you could see Mindfreak and Imperial going up against each other in the losers bracket straight away if they lose both of their games, or Imperial move on. I'm not too sure how the losers bracket's looking, but for me, those are the best 4 teams. As said, just repeat that again, Impact and Team Space, I expect to win both their first 2 games, and then I expect Imperial and Mindfreak to win 2 in the losers bracket, or 1 in the winners bracket and 1 in the losers bracket. So hopefully I predict those 4 teams right, but I think they will slot into the pools. I think the other teams have got a good chance. I mean, realistically, you have to look at who was else. Tainted Minds could really cause problems. 3G, I don't think they will. Gan Gaming could potentially do something, but for me, there's definitely the 4 best teams in this bracket. I expect all 4 to make it into pools at Vegas. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, please leave it a like. Comment below on who you think could actually make it through. Am I talking rubbish? The odds are fairly high, let's be honest. So let me know who you think will make it through, and we'll have more videos leading up to Vegas within the next week. Guys, we'll see you on the next video, and hopefully in Vegas as well.